Good morning, Codger Biker here, and I'm riding an 890 Duke R. I think that's the way you say it. Not only that, I'm riding an 890 Duke R, 27 miles an hour. So I'm in Wales, and I always find, because it's quite hilly when I get on a new bike, just take it easy to begin with. And as a former owner of a 790 Duke, not the R, I can already tell you that this engine is quite different character. So my question is, can you trundle on a 790 Duke R? So here I am, I'm in third gear, I'm doing 25 miles an hour. Now my 790 Duke used to struggle to do this. I always get this urging you on. But I believe they've got a heavier crank in this and it's differently fueled. I'm in street mode and it's just trundling along, look. Third gear, 30 miles an hour, well 27 miles an hour indicated. Very nice. Drop it to second. This bike's got the full track, quick shifter, everything. I'm in fourth doing 30 and it's fine. That is so much better than my 790 Duke. So I can say that the improvements, the heavier crank and everything else they've done, means this bike will now trundle. It's very smooth. Let's watch out for the car. Pulled out. Yeah, so already, though it's just starting to rain a little bit, and I'm in street mode, which you can probably see. Third gear, 27 miles an hour. This bike is very, very smooth. Let's just trundle it up this hill. It's quite a steep hill. Taking it nice and steady. It's not a sporty road. Obviously this is a much more sporty bike than these conditions are, if you like, than you would expect to be suited to, but it's got the plush suspension and it is just very surprising, that really surprising. You can't see how steep these hills are. Well, there's me just tractoring up it, look. Put into second, 14 miles an hour, tractoring up, no jerkiness really. A nice twin, smooth. Yes, I've just come off a single, but I really am impressed by the refinement of this engine. The modifications they've done to it, fueling, heavier crank I believe, certainly done the job. And this is where I would bring my Enduro normally, but I just thought I'd bring this down here to see how well it would just tractor along, and it does tractor along. Very nice. What an engine. If you don't know, if you've not seen my channel before, I did have a 790 Duke, I have had a 790 Adventure, so I know the 790 engine very well. Of course, KTM in their wisdom decided to change everything and bring out the 890 last year, and I'm probably the last person in the world to test ride the 890 Duke, but I can tell you it's just such a totally different engine. I was impressed with the 790 Adventure fueling, the way they changed the engine on that, but this, of course it's raining, this is something else. generally you get on you see the 890 Duke car videos and people are hurtling it round corners at high speeds, but I'm trundling in the rain in street mode. So civilized. I've got the wonderful Brembo brakes and they do stop. There's a lot of adjustment on those. I'm trying to show you on the camera that I know they adjust. I'm just going to leave them as they are for now because they have been set by the previous rider. I'll get onto the brakes in a minute. What's impressing me with this is that twin smoothness and the fueling and that flywheel effect of the presumably the heavier crank. Yeah, I think they got that right. Don't worry, I will open it up later on, but just for now. That's Tractor. When you open it, it goes. Now this road is quite bumpy and bangy, but there's no crashing at all with the suspension. Suspension's very good on it, very plush. Even on this, which is, you know, not a typical Duke environment. It's more of a 790 Adventure environment, or 890 Adventure, or an adventure bike. It's more of an adventure bike environment. Even so, it feels very good. Okay, so we know we can trundle with the best of them. It is actually very, very smooth. There's a lot of confidence in those brakes. Well, it's got the usual KTM switchgear, which I very much like. I think is maybe not as good. Just go to rain mode. Look, maybe it's not as good as the BMW, but it's better than any joystick. You'd think, wouldn't you, that Triumph would copy that. Trident. So very good. You can change it on the fly. You can see that the rain is just starting to come down. Hopefully this won't last long. We shall see. But it's very easy to change settings even while you're riding. So I've gone into rain mode and you can trundle even more. Look, I'll go into 4th gear at 23 miles an hour. Now I'm labouring it a little bit, but it's still smooth. Down into 3rd, which my 790 wouldn't have liked at all. Beautiful. So I think they got that right. Just give you one. My 790 always made me feel, if I was in a 20, that it didn't want to, because there's a lot of 20 mile an hour and 30 mile an hour where I live, and it used to force me to go faster than I wanted to keep the engine turning over. Whereas this, even at 20 miles an hour, alright, I'm in rain mode, it's just happily sitting there, because it's not really the conditions for hurtling along. But it's just wonderfully sitting there smoothly, and I feel like I can just go whatever speed I like. So yes, it trundles. Yes, it's easy to change modes. And yes, I like this already. I knew I was going to. Unfortunately, this bike, the demo bike, although it's tripped out with everything, doesn't have heated grips as far as I can see, which is a shame on a day like this. but it wouldn't be very difficult to get them fitted. I'm guessing it'll be those usual KTM ones with a button though. Okay, so let's go back into street mode. Rider mode, street, close your throttle. So we're in street mode. It's muddy, there's gravel underfoot, so we're going to take it easy. But what I'm going to ask myself is, does this bike go? Oh dear. Close my visor, I think. Yeah, it goes. What a relaxing bike. You'd think, wouldn't you? You know, it's the R Duke that you'd be forcing you along faster and faster, but it's so relaxing. I really like this engine. Given the conditions and given the fact that it's October, nearly November 2021, this is probably going to be the worst Duke R21 version review in the world. But I don't care because I'm enjoying this. I'm going to pull over in a minute and just have a look at it. Okay, so it's chucking it down, but I've still got quite a lot of protection on my legs. The shape of the tank is coming out, and alright, it's a naked bike, but it is raining quite heavily, but my legs at the moment are still dry, so there is protection from the shape of this tank here, the fuel tank. Let's pull over and have a look. So Codger Biker, of course, I'm out in the countryside on some steep hills, and already I'm very impressed with that. Okay, it's got the banana exhaust pipe, but it looks like it's clamped on, so you could change that. I know I'd read some places that some exhausts are getting welded on now for Euro 5, but that looks like the usual KTM clamps. That'd be easy to change. I don't worry too much about that. I know some people don't like them, but it's not going to be a big issue, is it? It's got the bright blingy orange, look at that. Bang! It's really zinging off those wheels and off the what there is of the trellis foam. I love the way the engine just hangs in midair. So it's really bright, and it's obviously in the KTM white. There's no passenger seat, but I think you get one with it, and hangers in the box. Don't quote me on that, I did hear that. I heard that online somewhere, so don't quote me on that. It's got the Brembos, lovely big Brembos on it. 320 disc, but I think they're Galfer DF787C. They're Galfer non-wavy discs. I have had some issues with those in the past. Surprised with that. I mean, to me, it's a beautiful bike. The only thing that I would say is that in the styling that I'm not so keen on is I don't really like these bits here. Although there is a steering damper in there, that's very good. I don't like these side wings. I've never really liked the sort of haunch look. What I wish, and I know KTM are working on one, is that they bring out a Supermoto version of this, because it is perfect. I know they're going to do a sort of Supermoto based on the 890 Adventure R, but I wish they'd just change this very slightly, because it's almost there, and just use this as a Supermoto. It's light, 160 kilograms, plenty of power, 120 horsepower. I think it's 99 newton meters of torque. Very tractable. This bike's got the track pack on it, so it's got Supermoto mode anyway. Wow. It is quite a different bike to my 792. I'm quite surprised. Not the shape and size of it so much. The riding position is a little different, which I'll mention later. But that engine is sublime. What, you're getting wet? Look. Yeah, slick tyres. You see where somebody's had them over on the side. That's not me. So they're just about as little tread on a tyre as you can get, so I'm going to take it easy on today. I don't know if you can see, but we've got a shower passing over. Hopefully it will dry up in a bit. I see they've got rid of those gaiters on the mirrors. That's better. You'd probably change those anyway. I mean, things like gaiters on mirrors and, you know, end cans, I would worry about that because you're going to get changed anyway, aren't they? Let's be honest. Long winter nights, looking on the internet. What are the chances that those mirrors would be on there for more than a couple of weeks, or that end can will be there for more than a month? So, you know, the manufacturers probably know that, realise that. Okay, yeah, seat height. I believe the seat height is 840. Now I've got my road boots on. I'm flat-footed both sides. I'm 5'10". It's supposed to have a higher seat. It really doesn't feel like it to me. So if you're my height, you won't have any problems. I reckon you could be an inch or two short and you still wouldn't have any problems. Probably less than that. It's not a tall bike. That's from somebody who's been riding an 890 Enduro, of course. Morning. Well, the seat actually, it's a KTM, but it doesn't feel too bad at all. It's quite, yeah, it's not a Honda seat, but it's quite plush. The other thing I would say is my feet are higher than I remember on the 790, so I've lifted the feet have been lifted up slightly higher, which threw me a little bit when I first got on it after getting off the Enduro R, of course. But you soon adjust. I do feel that it's quite tight on my legs, less than 90 degrees. When you've got a dodgy hip like me, you do feel these things. You lean more further. I think I'm leaning further forward than I was on my 790 Duke, but when you open the throttle, all the weight disappears off your wrists, so it's not a bad position at all. Now I like to refer to this Duke as the in the same way as you had like Escort Cosworth or Sierra Cosworth. This is the Duke Mac Williams, and I think you can feel that. Right, I'm still in a slow area, so I'm going to head up onto the expressway in a bit. I'm still in rain mode. This is quite a tricky tight bit, so this is where that better fueling just makes it an easier ride. You feel the suspension's plush, more sophisticated. Fully adjustable front and back. I know there's no preload on the front, but you know, I'm sure if Jeremy McWilliams could live with this, it's good enough for me. Okay, well, we'll just get out of this little bit of countryside and head out onto a bit of faster roads and see how we get on then. But before we do that, does it stop? Here's the back brake, nobody behind. Yeah, the back brake's okay. It's not as good as my 690 Enduro on the back. It's not as off-road focused. It wouldn't be, would it? The front brake, whoa, that's fantastic. Front brake is amazing. Right, so here we go. We'll head out onto some faster roads. It's only 50 miles an hour. Visor down. Whoa! Right, well, I think it's a 50, so let's take it easy. So, as soon as you get moving, I feel like I'm sitting quite upright actually. The weight's come off my wrists entirely. Of course, being a naked bike, you've got that slight pressure on your chest, which just lifts everything up. Very comfortable. This speed, I don't feel like I'm being blown around or anything. Wish the bloody weather would cheer itself up. Do you want to go to the seaside? I'm not trying to say everybody wants to go. I fell in love at the seaside. Let's just take a photograph. Come on, KTM. I know you're going to do an 890 adventure conversion to Supermoto, but you don't need to. Everything you need is here. I'll say, obviously, I'm on these tyres which are almost slicks, so I'm not going to throw it around too much, but by hell it goes. Does almost pull your arms off. Let's do a quick overtake. Woo! Almost pulled the front wheel up there. In third gear. Right, let's have a listen in the tunnel. It'd be rude not to, wouldn't it? Yeah, a louder pipe would be nice. This doesn't have the Akrapovic, just the standard one, so it's a little bit quiet. Okay, let's go for the overtake. Oh! Wow! Yeah, I've heard it said before that this is a slightly different bike to the 790 Duke, and I have to concur, it does feel different. Probably only a few minor changes, but they've been done just where you want them. If Jeremy McWilliams can't do it, nobody can. I think he's done a great job on this. Could I travel long distance on it? Well, it probably wouldn't be your first choice if you wanted to go long range, I suppose. I've been on it now for about an hour. Everything feels good to me. You can get a rack for the back of these. I did have a rack on mine, which would probably spoil the look of the R. But you could get some panniers, put it on the back. You can tour anything. If you look at Campbell 01's channel, he went on tour to Skye on his 790 with a tent and everything, so you can do it. So this bike that I'm riding with, it's got everything on it apart from the Akrapovic exhaust and heat grips, as far as I can tell. It's got the track pack and quick shift and everything. Probably about £11,000. Not cheap. I know some people say the TFT is a bit budget, or the indicator switch is a bit flimsy, but I think it's the one you'd have to have, to be honest. I think if you had the basic 890, I know I would be thinking, I wish I'd spent just a little bit more, because I'd be spending the money anyway on trying to make the 890 the same as this. Probably put the track mode on and everything because it's there. So yeah, it's going to be a, initial expenditure is more, but I think it's worth it. It's an expensive hobby, and relative to what's out there, I think if you were going to get this bike, you'd get the R. So smooth, even in the wind. Just want to keep riding. There's fantastic smooth power wherever you want it. You've got all those 6-axis IMU stuff going on. The tyres, even in this pouring rain, are grippy. A little bit louder exhaust would be nice. How those Galfa front discs will hold up I don't know, but the Brembo system's very good. Brakes are phenomenal on it. And even with all that, it doesn't feel like it's urging you to lose your license, which is was one of the main issues for me with the 790 Duke. It always felt like the engine was urging me on, and I'd get home each time and wonder whether I was getting some points this time. This bike today is so placid when you want it to be. Alright? It really is a totally different character. I love it. And on that note, Codger Biker is out. I think it's stopping raining. Hooray! V8 MG BGT. There'd be a vehicle that would be said to have it, especially a V8. Not my kind of thing, but this is the motorbike version of it. Maybe. .890R, an MGB-GT, V8. That's a small car for a V8, isn't it?